Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today and being part of our E3 Parent Summit. The purpose of the E3 Parent Summit is to engage with our families, equip them with practical resources that they can use, and empower them to succeed on their journey in independent study with the Blue Ridge Academy. Please note that this session will be recorded for future viewing on our Blue Ridge Academy Parent Information Center, along with all of our other previously recorded sessions that you're welcome to view at a later time. To help the session run smoothly, here are a couple of requests before we begin the presentation. Please keep your microphones muted and cameras off. And you are welcome to submit any questions into the comment box. And there will be a time allotted at the end of the presentation for questions and answers. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Anna Aguilar, and I am one of 4 family liaisons here to support our families and staff at the Blue Ridge Academy, along with Annalisa Carrillo, Shannon Eves, and Amanda Neve. We specialize in supporting our wonderful families with virtual resources, valuable workshops, vendor support, and we also moderate all of our social media platforms for Blue Ridge Academy. And today is very special because one of our family liaisons, Annalisa Carrillo, will be helping with the presentation. So if you would look to our presentation guide, these are a few things that we'll be touching upon today. And we also have a special guest with us as well. Her name is Kelly Kelly, and she will be introducing herself as well in the later portion of our presentation. But again, without further ado, I would like to introduce to you Family Liaison Representative Annalisa Carrillo.
Thank you for the introduction, Anna. Just a little bit about me. I'm a homeschooling mom, former preschool teacher, and currently a family liaison who cares deeply about how kids feel, not just how they behave. After over a decade in early childhood, I've seen how much children just really need connection, patience, and support through their big emotions. I'm certified in conscious parenting, but more than anything, I'm learning in real time right alongside my own child. I believe in showing up, repairing when needed, and raising emotionally safe, aware humans without pretending to have it all figured out. Next slide, please, Anna. So, what is conscious parenting? I know there's a lot of different ways people define conscious parenting. So, conscious parenting focuses on the relationship between parent and child. Instead of controlling behavior through fear or punishment, parents focus on building strong emotional connection, teaching children how to regulate emotions, helping children learn skills to manage behavior. The goal is to raise emotionally healthy and self-aware adults. Next slide. So, where it comes from, conscious parenting is influenced by several areas of research. The attachment theory by John Bowlby, and Mary Ainsworth. Children develop best when they have a secure emotional bond with caregivers. There's also the developmental psychology aspect of it. Research shows children learn emotional regulation through co-regulation with adults. Interpersonal neurobiology by the famous Dr. Dan Siegel. Healthy relationships literally help shape a child's brain development. And the last one is the Conscious Parenting Framework by Dr. Shefali Shahbari. Invites parents to become aware of their own triggers and patterns using the parenting journey as an opportunity for growth and deeper connection. These ideas helped shape the modern gentle and conscious parenting movement. So, what does the research say? Children raised with responsive, emotionally supportive parenting tend to have better emotional regulation, show lower aggression and behavior problems, develop stronger social skills, and a large meta-analysis of parenting programs found that positive parenting approaches significantly reduce child behavior problems. Another research I found was that secure attachment in childhood is also linked to better health, mental health, and relationships later in life. So, myths. These are two common myths that I hear about all the time. The first one is gentle parenting means no discipline. That is false. We do not just let our children run wild. The reality is, conscious parenting absolutely includes discipline. The difference is that discipline focuses on teaching and not punishing. The word discipline actually comes from the Latin word disciplina, meaning to teach or guide. Another myth is that parents have to be calm all the time. We are not Mary Poppins. That is not realistic. But the reality is that we're human. Conscious parenting doesn't expect perfection. What matters most is repairing after mistakes, modeling healthy emotional regulation, showing children how to handle conflict. And research shows that repair after conflict actually strengthens the relationships. Next slide. So now that was the beginning kind of introduction. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Kelly so she can tell you a little bit about herself.
Oop, I'm sorry,
You're
Kelly,
on
you're
mute,
on
There we
mute.
Kelly.
go. I caught that. All right. Sorry about that. I just wanted to thank Anna and Annalisa for having me. It's really, really nice to be here with you all. As a certified parenting coach through Dr. Shafali's Institute and a mom of three young adults, you'll see there, they're 25, 22, and 19, which equals a lot of lived experience, the highs and the lows. I decided to kind of take my experience and training into practice to really support parents in navigating parenthood and all that that means with conflict resolution and communication breakdowns and all of the challenges that parenthood brings, especially those moments when our kids are having big emotions and we find ourselves getting triggered as well. As a parent myself, I'm working alongside you, all of you, in this, not perfectly, but with a lot more tools and awareness than I used to have. Next slide, please. Nope, did you hear me? Oh, thank you. Okay, next slide. So, why is parenting so challenging? Well, first off, as a parent myself, like I said, I have been here and we all try, I would say most of us do, anyways, try our best, with no guidebook coming into parenting, and it can feel incredibly challenging and hard. And that's not because we're doing it wrong. It's because parenting is happening at the intersection of two nervous systems, one that's not developed yet, and one that has some past patterns and expectations in them. So, looking here at this slide, like I mentioned, kids have immature, underdeveloped emotional regulation. We have probably all heard that the prefrontal cortex isn't developed until age 25, and my kids grew up hearing that. And it's very real and it's very true. The children's brains are still developing and they borrow from our regulation. Secondly, behavior is communication. If we can stop when our child is acting up and ask ourselves, what is the need behind the behavior, and take that pause, it can really help in a thoughtful response. Much like when our children were babies and they cried, we knew it was typically one of three things. Either they were hungry, they were tired, or they had a wet diaper. Well, once we get into early childhood, and then again, obviously in adolescence, the behavior, the need behind a behavior typically tends to be related to one of three things. Number one could be the child is not clearly just not developmentally able to handle the situation. An example of this could be your child's having a meltdown when leaving a friend's house or the park. Well, this is due to them not having the capacity to handle disappointment and transition at the same time. So we can recognize that, we can help guide them through that process. Secondly, the other need behind the behavior could be that the child is simply overwhelmed and dysregulated, which we will talk about the nervous system a bit in a moment. But an example of this would be, your child comes in from an activity, snaps, is, quote, rude. Moms and dads get all of the stuff, all of the angst, and the more poor or I'll put in quotes behavior than the neighbors down the street, which I know we're all thankful for. But what is that really telling us? It's telling us that they have been holding it together all day or at that activity or at that birthday party, and their nervous system is overloaded and they need that downtime, and we're the safe place for them to do it. Thirdly, the third need that the behavior could be coming from is that the child has an unmet need, whether it be physical, mentally, or emotionally. And this could be an example of this would be your child interrupting you while you're on the phone, the tap tap on the arm, or while you're talking to someone at the park. And what they're trying to do is connect. They're trying to have that reassurance and they're missing some connection. So when we can realize that, it can kind of help with our reactions to those situations. Often the behavior that we see, whether it be yelling or refusing, melting down, is typically just a child communicating something that they don't yet have the skills to express. And then the third section there is, of course, despite our best efforts, we do bring in generational conditioning from our own upbringing, in addition to dealing with cultural pressures, which are also a very real thing out there. So with all this, no wonder it feels so hard to be a parent. We've got you. Next slide, please. All right, so here we have, I mentioned this before, children borrow our regulation. Emotional regulation develops slowly, as we mentioned, that prefrontal cortex is still developing. So kids, it's really important for our nervous system to be intact because kids co-regulate with us adults. When a child is dysregulated, their nervous system is essentially screaming for help. They don't calm down just because we tell them to calm down, which I'm sure we've all experienced. They calm down because and when our systems are regulated and they borrow from that regulation. Our calm becomes their calm, and it's how we respond thoughtfully versus react emotionally that helps regulate the situation. However, our nervous system and regulation is highly dependent on our triggers, which are also very real. Our triggers matter too. As we all know, parenting activates our own nervous system. We've all felt it. The challenge is clearly when our child is dysregulated, it often dysregulates us too. How many times have we experienced our child is here, we come to them, or above, they go above, and it just keeps going. That's typically the pattern that happens. Our old patterns can show up. Many reactions do come from our own childhood conditioning and belief systems and cultural expectations. But awareness of all of this helps create choice and allows us to pause instead of react. It causes us to have space in between those things where we can begin the conscious parenting, the awareness, and truly respond in a meaningful, cohesive, beautiful, connected way. Next slide, please. So now into some practical tools. The power of the pause. Much easier said than done for certain, but so incredibly powerful. So if we can even just, I won't say master it because there is no end finish line with this, but the practice of it, we will be making great strides. As we've talked about, our nervous system is activated. When it's activated, we move into reaction mode. It's in our DNA, right? We've all heard of fight or flight. It's how we were wired. It's how we survived back in the day. So that is all very, very normal. So being aware of that can help us tune into it. Often we feel it in our body first, but to tune into it and pause. If we can regulate first, take a breath, lower our voices, slow down, even excuse yourself if necessary. A wonderful thing to do, not only for yourself, but modeling for your child, is to give yourself a timeout. Saying something simply as, mommy really wants to hear you, and I'm feeling a little overwhelmed right now. I'm going to take a minute so I can come back and be fully with you. Not only does that put you in a better state, but your child responds to that. You get an opportunity to thoughtfully respond instead of emotionally reacting. Now, this doesn't mean we do it perfectly. We won't, like I said. It just means that we begin to notice. And even if we do this one time out of the next 10, that's huge, huge progress. Or if you catch yourself reacting, but then you stop yourself 2 minutes into the reaction, that's huge progress as well. It's a practice and it's baby steps, building that awareness and pause. Next slide, please. All right, tool number 2, connection before correction. As Annalisa had mentioned earlier, conscious parenting is not permissive parenting. Behavior can and still should be corrected. However, with conscious parenting, the correction comes from a place of connection. Did I say that right? Correction comes from a place of connection, not from a place of control. So, connection, as we talked about, calms the nervous system. It makes room for calm correction. Kids cooperate more when they feel seen, heard, and validated, don't we all? And empathy first, guidance second is kind of the formula. We acknowledge the feelings and then we guide the behavior. Another way we can put that is to name the feeling and then hold the boundary. So I've included a couple of examples there of what the words actually sound like. We acknowledge the feeling. You're really frustrated right now. I see that. And I can't let you hit your brother. You're feeling really frustrated with me right now. I hear that. And I won't let you speak to me that way. I've bolded the words and here because the power of it is huge. Just by changing our buts to ands, we make a big shift. In the examples on the slide, I could imagine myself saying, "You're really frustrated, thinking I'm doing the right thing. You're really frustrated right now. I see that, but I can't let you hit your brother. You're feeling really frustrated with me right now. I hear that, but I won't let you speak to me that way." Using the word but negates the child's feelings. It would be the same as if you were talking to a spouse or a friend and they say, "Oh, don't be upset. You'll be fine." Or, "I see that you're upset, but things will get better." You the person is fully hoping to be and is intending to be supportive, but the person receiving that feels that they are not being seen or heard, and it negates that. So if you take one thing away from this session, I would love for you all to just try noticing how much you say the word but in your daily language. It's really kind of alarming when you pay attention to it. And then see if you can replace it with the word and how that feels for you. Next slide. Thank you. And then tool number 3, hold firm and connected boundaries. So this is a fun topic, the boundary continuum. Conscious parenting does not mean no limits, as we've said. Children need boundaries, and in fact, boundaries actually create emotional safety for our children. What happens, however, is that many of us tend to swing from one end to the other extreme. There's rigid and controlling, focusing on obedience, little space for feelings, often creating power struggles. Children may comply in the moment, but often the relationship becomes more about control than connection and eventually can become strained. An example of this is "because I said so," or many of us in our day, it was "I'll give you something to cry about." The other end of the spectrum is the loose, people pleasing parent, where they're afraid to upset their child. There are inconsistent limits. Children can feel uncertain when things are loosey goosey in this world. An example of that could be "fine, do whatever you want," or even out of frustration, "fine, I give up, do whatever you want." Conscious parenting lives somewhere in the middle, firm boundaries, but with connection. This is where there are clear expectations, follow through, calm leadership, and feelings are allowed and validated. Your feelings are welcome, and the boundary is still the boundary. I hear you're upset, and the boundary is still XYZ. Next slide. So I love this analogy that I learned along the way. I often invite parents to think of boundaries like a river. Riverbanks provide structure and direction. Water flows freely within those banks. And children's emotions are like the water, they're meant to move. When boundaries become too rigid, it's like forcing the river into a steel pipe. It's fine as long as the water is flowing smoothly. But when there's a gush or the rain is coming off the mountains and there's a gush of water going through that steel pipe, pressure builds inside until eventually something breaks. The pipe bursts. With our children, it's usually through rebellion or emotional shutdown. On the other side, when boundaries are too loose, the river spills everywhere. Children will often feel overwhelmed because there isn't enough structure. So the key is that structured connection. We have healthy parenting is where you provide those strong riverbanks while allowing the emotions to flow. And I've also put here some examples, and you'll see my ands there as well. And these examples work because empathy regulates the nervous system and boundaries provide the leadership. I hear that you're upset, and the boundary is still XYZ. Your feelings are welcome, and hitting is not. I understand you want more time, and tonight we're stopping now. I'm here with you while you feel disappointed, which is a huge one. That in and of itself, I'm here with you while you feel disappointed. Being comfortable in the uncomfortable is a huge skill. Just to be able to sit with your child and ride the emotion with them. It will pass, I promise. Feels like it goes on forever, but it will pass. Connection doesn't replace the boundaries, it only strengthens them. And the goal here is really to have a steady structure with connection. And remember that a boundary is not something we do to our child, but it's something we hold for the relationship. And next slide. So let's take a moment to pause because that was a lot. And I would love to just take a moment. Conscious parenting is not about being a perfect parent. And there's a lot more to what I just went over. It is about becoming an aware parent, and it definitely is a practice. So I thought I might just take a moment and do just that. And you can take this with you anytime you're triggered. But if you take a moment, take a deep breath and breathe. I'd love for you all to think of a moment that you were recently triggered by your child. For most of us, it probably was as, recent as this morning, if not this afternoon. And when I do my work one-on-one, we dive deeper into what that feels like in the body, as well as what are the thoughts and expectations going on in our mind, because that's all part of it. And that awareness is so key. But for now, I'd love for you all to think about what taking a pause would look like in that situation and knowing what you know now about your child taking from your regulation. Typically, there's a need behind the behavior, and the child's regulation system is not where it should be, is not developed. Is there anything that you would have done differently, said or done differently to de-escalate the situation? Or if any of this is resonating with any of you of the and, I would love to hear if anyone would like to share either what's coming up for them right now. I invite you to chime in. Annalisa, did you want to have an example? I know we talked on when we were going through it. Whining is always a thing.
Yes, for sure. Whining, I've had to learn that it's just something that I probably wasn't allowed to do when I was little. So for me, the reason I also became a parenting coach was for that reason, because I was just like, I should not feel this way towards my own child. Like I taught preschool for years. I was never like this. I was very calm. I was very patient. And then you have your own child and you realize you have all of these triggers. So for me, whining is definitely a trigger. I have gotten better at it. And the pause. I cannot emphasize enough how much that pause can really help you. It gives you time to respond instead of reacting, which I think is really key to conscious parenting. I
Hmm.
think another big trigger for a lot of parents is also probably disobedience, right? We want these compliant drill sergeant children that just do what we say and give us no pushback. And I
Right.
feel that for your child, in order for your child when they are older to be able to stand up for themselves and say what they're not okay with, what they're not comfortable with, the best person to practice that on with is their safe person. We don't
Hmm.
want to create people pleasers. We want them to be able to express themselves, and our job is to just teach them healthy ways to do that. And like you said, holding the boundaries is
Hmm.
really good. And I think that's also very hard because we know how our child is going to respond. We know how our child is going to react. So when we say no, we're already anticipating it. So a lot of times I feel parents just say in their head, "Ugh, I don't feel like dealing with this right now. Like, whatever, just let them do whatever." And that's kind of where
Hmm.
it comes, where my daughter is now, she's almost 7. And I just came up with a phrase and I simply tell her, "You already asked me and I answered you. My answer is not going to change." And and that's it. And in the beginning, it was pushback after pushback after pushback. Now, today, for example, during the meeting, she walked over and she wanted to watch TV. And I just told her, I already said we're not going to do screen time today. And in my head, I'm on this meeting and I'm like, I already told you, inside. And I paused
Hmm.
and I just simply told her, right now, I already answered you. And she just says, okay. And she walks away. Now,
Mhm.
a year ago, that would not have happened. So
Mm.
it works. It's the long-term goal
It's
that
a
you need to
practice.
remember. Hmm.
Hmm. It
It's
is a
not a
practice, and
short-term fix.
and we will fail at it. You will
Yes.
be, and then
Multiple
remember,
times.
oh yes, absolutely, absolutely. I just one of the things I wanted to add on, piggyback to what you were saying, the pause, because it's easier said than done. But do you
Mhm.
notice yourself, Annalisa? Like, do you feel it in your body? You feel the clenched jaw or the tightness in the chest or the stomach as you're getting triggered. If we
Yes,
can
it's
get in
just
tune with that or those thoughts,
Yes.
it's like
It's the
that.
whole overwhelm. Like it's just you
Hmm.
feel it like rising, you feel all of that. And then the minute you like take a deep breath, we do roller coaster breaths. We practice those at my house. And so sometimes we just remind each other. She will tell me roller
Hmm.
coaster,
Hmm.
mom, or I will tell her roller coaster. And then we're just both there like and then
Beautiful
we open our
modeling.
eyes and
Yep.
we just laugh at each other because
Yes,
so
you've
that's
you've
kind of something
neutralized.
we
You've
do.
neutralized the
Yes.
situation. Yeah.
Hmm.
And that's where the correcting can come in because the
Yes,
energy is now neutral and it's not charged.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you for sharing that. That's such a
Of
beautiful
course.
example. I also wanted to piggyback on your second example, where they don't want to do something, or it's depending obviously on what it is, but they're
Hmm.
the word negotiating. A lot of parents, it's no because I said so.
Hmm.
When there's an opportunity to let them choose, it does give
Hmm.
them that autonomy. It's like when they're little kids, right? And you're like, well, here's the red shoes or the blue shoes. Mom still
Exactly.
picked out the red or the blue shoes, but the child gets to pick, is it red or blue? And that does translate, believe it or not, to them being older.
For sure. For sure.
Thank you, Annalisa.
Of
Did
course.
I wanted to just thank you all for having me, and I wanted to say if there is one thing, I guess another thing, because I already said, look for your word but and replace it with the word and. But if there is another thing I would love for you to take away is just know that, and know this, because it is hard in our culture, that there is no such thing as a perfect parent. You don't have to be a perfect parent. You can't be, but just try to be a more aware one. And in those small moments where you can pause, connect, and respond differently, that is where the real change begins. And please know that you are not alone in this journey. People will make you think that you are and you're the only one, but you are not. And this is exactly why I do the work that I do with parents every day. So thank you so much for having me, Anna and Annalisa.
Of course. Are there any parents here watching now that do have any questions? If you want to either throw them in the chat or you're welcome to come off camera as well and ask. Just give it a minute or two.
I'd actually just kind of like to chime in and give a little bit of a story, because an aha moment that happened for me is it was always that leaving for school, the rush of leaving for school. And we were always, come on, let's go. We're going to be late. And it was just this ongoing thing. And it really did stress out my kids and stress me out and stress. And I was just, I mean, I was getting tired of it. My kids were getting tired of it. And one day I just decided to turn the table, and instead of saying, hurry up, let's go. Like, what's taking so long? Which was the thing I always said. I turned like I turned to my son and I'm like, Jacob, and I said, what can I do to help you, to help you come along, like to help you kind of go faster? And he's like, and he paused and he's like, well, I'm looking for this and I'm looking for that. I'm like, okay, I can get that for you. I'll get your lunch. I'll get your water bottles. Cause he's looked around, running around looking for things. I said, yeah, I'll get that for you. So I grabbed his water bottle. I grabbed his backpack, and I'm like, okay, I got it. I'll meet you in the car. So instead of waiting for them at the bottom of the stairs, I said, okay, I grabbed your stuff. I'll wait for you in the car. I did that. And when they met me in the car, they're like, okay, that was different. And I was like, okay, what do you mean? And they're like, Mom, you didn't yell at us. You weren't at the bottom of the stairs, like pacing. Like, that felt different. And I like that. I like that you helped me. I like that you waited for us in the car and we didn't feel stressed. And I like that instead of you rushing me, you said, how can I help you? And so I was like, okay, like, thanks for noticing that. And maybe I'll try that again. Like, I just needed to know what was taking you so long. Why were you, just taking too long? And I'm like, those things I can help you with. I can get water bottles. I can get lunches. Like, I can grab those things while you're upstairs. But it took a process of talking it through. And like, that's really what was taking you long, all these years. Go figure.
Well, that's
Yeah.
a beautiful example of the
Mhm.
need behind the behavior. The need was he didn't have enough time or enough bandwidth to gather all his belongings. And even simply asking your child exactly what you did. What do you need? What do you need from me? What do what do they need is just huge. I mean, that's beautiful. And I mean, you could even take that a step further, and then so you're not the one doing it and saying, well, how do
Mhm.
we, is that something that you're willing to take on, or what can be done the night before? What can be by the door? All of those kind of, things that you can work together side by
Mhm.
side, and he's a part of to alleviate that stress. Yeah, that's a
Absolutely. And that's
beautiful.
what we started to do. And that's what we started to do. And I mean, I have adult children now, they're in their 20s, and they still see me now when I go to park days with our school. They see me. I have my coffee cup there, I have my water cup, and I have my lunch pail. I have those things, and they're like, oh, mom's going out. And they do the same thing though now. They'll have their water cup there because they know they have to like run out the house. So they have it there by the door. So it was, and it was helpful to start doing that because they know it's like, okay, whatever's at the door, that's things I need to take. So they do it the night before.
great modeling. I love that.
And I think one key thing, just really quick, that also parents tend to forget is that, especially with younger children, parents, I've been told, like, you don't need to explain things to them. But that's false because even as adults, we also need expectations or explanations. So, perfect example is I told my mom, I was like, how would you feel if I just came to your house and I said, get your shoes on, get in the car? Would you just get your shoes on and get in the car? And she said, oh, I probably want to know where we're going. And I said, exactly. It's the same thing with children. We think that just because they're little and we're telling them to do something, they should do it. And granted, there are times where it's just, I just really need you to do what mommy asked, of course. But they do deserve explanations. And that helps them understand the why, which they're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And I just think that's also really hopeful as well.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Great point.
I really love the and. I'm going to take that because, oh my goodness. And I will also say this, because I do have adult children and I remind them, um, because I still make mistakes. And I tell them, I'm still learning. You have to give me some grace. I'm still learning. I give you grace because you're learning how to adult, and I'm learning how to also learn the new cultures, right? The new norms, the new things that maybe like, yeah, mom, you can't do that anymore. You can't say that anymore. We don't, okay. While you're learning the new things, I'm learning, I'm learning too. So have grace on me and I'm going to have grace on you. And so we've had to both work on that. It's like, I
Mhm.
can't instantly understand these new things, but I'm going to try, and you have to have grace on me to if I don't say it the right way, or if I don't do it the right way the first time. You didn't start walking, you just didn't get up and start walking. And I gave you grace. I held your hand. I walked with you until
Mhm.
you felt confident enough to do it on your own. And so I remind them that at the same time, like,
Yeah,
I'm not,
absolutely.
let's work with each other and help each other out.
Well, I think Annalisa had said that's two things to say about that. One is she had talked about in her own bio about being willing to repair. I think when they're little, that's a huge part of it is if we will make mistakes. It's not if we will, like we will make mistakes as parenting and as we learn more and we know more about mental health and we learn different styles of parenting and everything. It is not a bad thing. It is actually a good thing to go back to our children and when we lose our cool to go back and repair and share with them what we're learning, share with them what we're doing. And then when you take your adult children, and absolutely, there it goes both ways. And I do think you come into a role more of as a co-pilot when they're in the preteen teen years and especially adult children. You are not in the front guiding them. You are a co-pilot, and likewise they have to they should have that same grace like you said for you. But it's a shift, and you want independent strong children like Annalisa said who can stand up for themselves and not just have people pleasers. But it's that balance, and it really really comes, I think all of it comes down, and that's where the conscious parenting piece is from connection. We all were made for connection. We are. And we're made to be seen, heard, and validated by our friends, by our spouses, by our kids, by our parents. And the more you can do that with any relationship you have, I think just the more robust and loving it can be.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, this was very helpful. And if there are any more questions, again, feel free to use a mic, unmute your microphones. You can put it in the chat. While we're waiting for more questions, we just want to let you know that we do have a survey where it says "Scan me." And this is for our parents. You're welcome to take a picture of this, use a QR code, we want to hear from our parents. And if you have any other suggestions of topics that you would like to for us to touch upon or present, if you would like to hear more about conscious parenting, we would love to just maybe do further explanation on this and maybe another workshop next year, which would be in the fall. And we would love to have Kelly back to continue talking more about this, as well as Annalisa, to delve into this more. We just touched the top of the surface, and we did that intentionally because we wanted to make sure that there was just a basic understanding. And if there's an interest, we would love to delve deeper into this and really help our parents just understand, and if they want to know more and if they want to just be empowered on this, we would welcome it. So again, fill out that survey. Also, our last E3 Parent Summit for the year of 2025-2026 is happening next month, and it's called Senior Standouts. And so this is a wonderful opportunity where we get to hear from our senior class, the class of 2026, where they will be sharing some of the highlights and things that they have done during their senior year or during their 4 years of high school, what they've participated in alongside their academics. So last year we had a student working on going to the Olympics. We had some volunteerism and some wonderful students doing amazing things and going off into the world to continue their service to the community, and just with their heart of wanting to help others. So anyway, we encourage you to watch that, because then you get to see the impact our students are making outside of Blue Ridge. And we're really excited about that. So we welcome you to come next month, May 20th at 3 p.m. Again, this presentation will be recorded. It will be sent out on our Facebook, on our Parent Information Center, on our YouTube page. So we definitely want to be able to share this and make sure our families know the importance of the conscious parenting and allowing the relationship and the connection to happen between our students and our parents and our families in general. So thank you so much to our presenters. Thank you so much to our families for joining us today. We really appreciate it, and we hope to see you again. Thank you, everyone. This will conclude our presentation for today. Thank you.